I'm Peter Bisaka, and I want to thank you for the chance to talk with you today. I'm like you, like many of you, I'm a business owner. My business happens to be business consulting and business brokering. I'm also the facilitator of some peer-to-peer advisory groups, and I'm here to talk with you about business assessments. Now, before we get into that, there's some administrative things we should probably go through. Please turn off your cell phones during the presentation. If you have questions, feel free to interrupt. No problem at all. There'll also be some questions and answers. I didn't mean to imply that I would actually address them. Well, feel free to ask. BBI is just 3 letters. So originally the name was Washington Brokers and Business Intermediaries, but I got so tired of writing that all out on a check that I just shortened it to BBI. So now it's just BBI. Kind of like National Cash Registers, now just NCR. Oh wait, do they even still exist? Okay, so let's talk about a business health assessment. What the heck is it? What good is it? Why should you do that? So, most of us, we go get especially the more gray hair we have, we tend to go to the doctor once a year for a physical checkup, right? And they take, pulse, blood pressure, temperature. They're not putting you through a whole battery of tests, but they're just sort of seeing if there are some basic things that would highlight or indicate that a problem might exist. And, we go to the dentist, twice a year to get a cleaning and, have them kind of check out our teeth, make sure that there are no issues indicated that could get worse over time. And, we do the same thing with so many different things. We take our cars in every how many miles? I think the dealers or the car manufacturers these days say something around 5,000. I think 3,000 might be a little better choice there. But there are so many things that we do almost automatically, right? Eyeglasses. Don't we go in and get our eyes checked about every other year? But do we do the same thing for our businesses? Do we get early warnings for our business practices? What good are business health assessments? We got a lot of bankers in here, right? If you're going to your banker to try to get funds for a large piece of equipment, or maybe you want to buy an additional company, or maybe you just need working capital, it's probably a good idea if you uncover any potential issues that are going on in your financials before your banker sees those. So that might be one good reason to do it. Does anybody want to eventually sell their business? Well, exit planning. This is the basis, the starting point for being able to build an effective exit plan over time. Maybe you're closer to wanting to sell your business. You're curious as to whether it's sellable? The business health assessment is a great tool for figuring that thing out, and so many of the others. The key to the business health assessment is not that it is so comprehensive. We're not doing MRIs, we're not doing x-rays. What we are doing is looking at your financials, and we're going to give you a survey. And we'll talk a little bit more detail about this in a moment. But these are some of the reasons that our clients tell us that they find doing a business health assessment on an annual basis to be so worthwhile. So what's involved? Probably from my description, you might think that this is about as much fun as going in for a dental exam or some other exam. It's a little bit more fun than that. There's 3 phases to what we do with a business health assessment. How many here use QuickBooks for their accounting system? I'm guessing about, 97, 98% of our clients use QuickBooks. And so what most clients do is they give us a memory stick with do you know what a QBB file, a QuickBooks backup file, along with the password. We load that onto our system. We use some software that is designed to help us to provide industry standard ratio analysis to benchmark the performance of the company and to compare that performance to other similar companies. Now, everybody familiar with NAICS codes, NEICS?
Yes. Yes, all the bankers raise their hand.
Right. And NAICS stands for? I didn't know there was going to be a quiz today, did you? North American Industrial Classification System. So the government wants to pigeonhole all of us. They want to know what we do for a living, what our primary product or service is. And so through the Census Bureau, they came up with this standard classification system, the North American Industrial Classification System. There will be a quiz after the presentation. So for example, if you're a jewelry store, right? We could benchmark the performance of your jewelry store against other jewelry stores. But to be fairer, we might want to do that in the same relative revenue size. So if you're doing $1 million a year as a jewelry store owner, it probably would be unfair to benchmark your performance or your firm's performance against Zales, right? Someplace with a bazillion of jewelry stores in every shopping mall, everywhere, right? So when we do this kind of benchmarking, we are looking at your performance and comparing it to other similar company, not just in the same NAICS code, but also by relative revenue size. The second phase of the business health assessment is we give you this long, tedious, onerous questionnaire where we ask you questions department by department in your company. What do you think is happening in your own company? Then the third phase is to sit down and compare those two. Here's what you think is happening. Here's what the financial statements and the financial ratio analysis tells us. Well, it doesn't really tell us what's going on in your company. It gives us indications as to what might be going on in your company. I love that kind of process because the financial ratios give us indications of what might be happening, but numbers never tell you what the solution is or really what the problem is. They just help you to focus in on certain areas. And that's where talking about the answers to the questionnaire becomes so important, because we have the data and analytical side, we have the qualitative side that you supply, and together we sit down and figure out what's broken and needs fixing, what isn't broken, and dang it, you better stop fixing because you got other things to work on. It's kind of human nature. It's the nature of entrepreneurs or business owners. We start our businesses to do whatever it is that we happen to know how to do. And so during our days, we tend to get wrapped up in lots of tactical issues. Firefighting, right? Anybody fight fires throughout the day? I know I do. So that's human nature. So when we have some additional time, do we spend our time looking at what are the underlying causes of those fires? Probably not. If you're anything like me, we go play with the stuff we enjoy doing, which is probably the stuff that's working well to begin with, and that's probably because that's why you started your company in the first place, right? So what the business health assessment helps you to do is to find out what you're really good at, to find out what is broken and what needs fixing, and it gives you the basis, the foundation to start your planning process as to how to fix what is broken and how to emphasize what's working really well. Does this make sense? Does to me. So what are some of the benefits of doing this? Well, generally my clients say, revenues go up, profits go up, problems go down. Why do the problems go down? Again, it's because we're taking the time to actually look at what's causing the problems. We're uncovering those things, we're fixing those things. So as part of the process, you're focused on more strategic issues. Consultants like to say that business owners need to spend more time working on their business instead of working in their business. And this helps you. This will help you to do that. This will help to elevate your point of view from the tactical firefighting. What do I have to get done tomorrow? What have I not gotten done yet today? To the more strategic level of how do I maximize my business value and business profits. Sleep better? Do not discount the value of that one, right? When you are solving the problems, when you know that you are planning and executing effectively, you'll actually sleep better and you'll have more fun tomorrow. So this is kind of our model. What we're talking about today is this assessment. This red ball here is the business health assessment. Have you ever planned a trip and said, I want to take a trip, and the airline says, okay, do they say, where do you want to go to first, or do they say, where are you coming from? If you don't know where you're coming from, you can't get anywhere, right, in your trip planning. Lewis Carroll, if you don't know which path or where you're trying to go, the path doesn't matter. If you want to get from here to there in business, you have to know where here is. So this is what the business health assessment does for us. We use a flat fee for the business health assessment. The consulting and the accountability coaching are priced separately, and there really depends on what your needs are, or even if we're the right people to help you with those two phases. They need to be done. It's just a matter of we can help you assess the situation. We may or may not be the right person for you. If it comes to, say, debt restructuring, that's my buddy over here, right? So there are things that I'm just arrogant enough to think that we're pretty good at a couple of things, but there is a long, I like to say the list of the things that we don't do is long and distinguished. And this is why I need relationships with people like yourselves, people like Dan. So the next step then is to, now that we know what is working really well and those things that we really should focus on fixing, the next step then is to go into a standard consulting phrase. Sorry about that. As I was saying. So in the consulting phase, we look at, these things are broken. What are the options on how to go about fixing these things? Which ones seem like the best ways of fixing them? How do we test if they're the best ways? How do we plan on implementing them? How do we plan on testing them after the implementation? What happens if we implement this and it just doesn't go the way we think it? What's our plan B? What's our, consulting? And then the phase after that is the nagging, right? We call it professional accountability coaching, but let's face it, it's helping you to stay on track with the milestones you set and helping you to achieve the goals and the vision that you want to attain. And then at the end of the year, we got a lot done in the year, and you can't get everything done in 1 year, so you want to focus on what matters most. The business health assessment helps tell us what things matter most. Then we start all over again. We reassess, we made progress, where are we now? If we want to get from here to there at the end of the year, we need to know where here is, and then we help you with the consulting on what do you want to accomplish, what's realistic, how do you go about doing that, and then we nag you some more. So that's our model. Is it expensive? Oh, of course, it's phenomenally expensive. No, I'm kidding. It is not really very expensive. The business health assessment really is based on how complex your business is. And what we find is the simplest correlation, the simplest factor to look at is the number of your employees. So if you've got 10 employees or less, it's $2,500 for a business health assessment. This is not a hard promise, but by and large, there's a 2-week turnaround. No, I'm hedging that a little bit because did anybody have trouble with the last Windows download? Right, the last window? Totally. The computer that I use to work on these things, I've got like 4 computers. The one that I use for the business health assessments totally blew out my disk drive. So we're in the process of rebuilding that. So I'm pushing the 2-week on a couple of business health assessments right now. So it's an inexpensive thing for the kind of benefits that you receive for a business health assessment. I cannot emphasize how important it is to know where you are really when you begin a planning process.